Hi-de-ho there, and welcome back to the channel as we begin our next series on the Legend of Vox Machina. This is one of my favorite shows, and I don't think it gets enough credit for how good it is. That is why we're going to go over it. To keep things consistent with the release schedule of the show, we will be going over the first 3 episodes of Season 1. I will start things off by doing a brief overview of what the show is about, then go into a spoiler-free overview of the events of these 3 episodes, and finally a deeper dive into each individual episode. To start things off, the show is based on a live play Dungeons & Dragons show called Critical Role. Specifically the first campaign that they've put on, since they have done multiple over the years. And during one of these live plays, they started a Kickstarter, which was supposed to be for one 10 to 20 minute short. But by the end of it, it evolved into 2 seasons of the TV show that we have been watching so far. And very early on in the show, it is established that this show is not for kids, would not recommend it. There's lots of violence and language and adult themes throughout the entirety of both seasons of the show. But this show mainly focuses on the adventure of Vox Machina across Tal'Dorei, which is a continent of Exandria. The first 2 episodes are an intro arc that set up the main arc for the rest of the show and introduce us to the world and the characters and what is try to do some world building as well. But Vox Machina is a down-on-their-luck group of mercenaries looking for work, and they aren't even sure whether or not they should even be together at the beginning. So the members of our party include Scanlan Shorthalt, who is a gnome bard, Keyleth, who is a half-elf druid, Vaxel Dan, who is a half-elf rogue, Vexalia, who is a half-elf ranger, Grog Strongjaw, who is a Goliath barbarian, Pike Trickfoot, who is a gnome cleric, and Percy, who is a human fighter. And the prospect of a job draws them together because they either need the money, want to kill stuff, or don't know what else to do other than to go along. And they end up finding a job and taking it, but not long after taking the job, they find out they're in way over their head and are about to go try to get out of it, but there's something that changes their mind and they push on and go along with this job that they've taken, even though they think they're going to die to have to complete the job. Then they complete the job that they are, the task that they are, that they took, and are thanked with a party to celebrate the victory and discuss the safety of the realm. Something then goes awry at the party, leading Vox Machina into the rest of the story for Season 1. So now we'll take a little bit of a deeper dive into each individual episode. So Episode 1 starts off with introducing us to the world of Exandria, which is a world entirely created by Matt Mercer, the Dungeon Master of Critical Role. This place is a place that hosted ancient battles of epic proportions, leaving a magical world behind. But evil once again is on the rise across Exandria, and heroes are needed to fight it. We see a group of adventurers trying to stand up to something evil, but they are immediately killed, and the city of Amon is in need of more mercenaries to fight this evil. While this is going on, we see Vox Machina out drinking in a bar and eventually get in a bar fight because they are considered a joke of a group of mercenaries. They get kicked out and banned to the bar, and this is what leads them contemplating if they should even be together as a group. They are lucky, though, because Sovereign Uriel is looking for mercenaries to avoid using his army in fighting the evil that is threatening Amon. And they go to his castle to go before him and the Tal'Dorei Council. Vox Machina, using a song and the help of one of the Tal'Dorei Council members, General Krieg, convinces Sovereign Uriel to hire them and to fight the evil, even though they don't know what it is. And there is a side note that happens in the throne room. Vexalia, since she's a ranger, she has the ability to sense the presence of specific creatures. For her, it's specifically dragons, and she feels the presence of a dragon in the throne room, but she keeps it secret from everyone except for her brother, who is Vaxel Dan. Then they are sent out to the Shale Steppes by Lady Alora, who is one of the Tal'Dorei Council members, and the Shale Steppes is the last place this evil had been reported. Lady Alora drops them off, she leaves and heads back to Amon, and leaves Vox Machina to do some investigating. They start walking around the Shale Steppes and talking to the locals, and one of them asks Pike, who is a cleric, to bless their home to keep them safe. Pike is able to, she does it, but it is a very awkward moment for her and the family because Pike doesn't really know exactly what she's doing. And after talking to the children of this family, Vax is able to figure out that the children heard something flying overhead, and the children point them in the direction of where it was flying to. So now that they know where to go, they head off in that direction to try to find something. And Vex once they get there, Vex once again feels the same presence of a dragon, and they find out that the evil that is currently availing Amon is a blue dragon, and they end up having to fight it for a little bit. Vox Machina almost ends up dying, but they are able to hide and escape, and the dragon flies away. Now knowing that what they're actually up against, Vox Machina feels like this is a creature that is beyond them. They don't have the power to kill it, and they decide to go try to get out of the contract and live to fight another day. So as they're walking back the way they came, they pass through the shale steps and see that the dragon had destroyed the shale steps. And they rush back to the house that they were talking to the children with, and they find that that house has also been destroyed. And all the family members were killed inside, leaving Vox Machina feeling like even if they're going to, they have a responsibility now for the people of Iman and the people of the Shale Steppes to avenge their deaths and kill this dragon, even if it means that they're going to die. So that's what they decide to do. And that is where the first episode ends. Episode 2, we start off with we see some group of Iman soldiers camped out in the woods with General Krieg, preparing to fight whatever this evil is, because they don't know yet. But then we see, not long after General Krieg gives an inspiring speech, we see the blue dragon attack this camp, killing almost everyone, but there are a few that are able to survive, including General Krieg. And he is able to return to Sovereign Uriel with the news that the threat that is threatening Amon is a blue dragon just before Vox Machina does. And Uriel, knowing what is the threat to his city is, he decides that mercenaries aren't enough and to send out Amon's full army to take on this dragon. There's some pushback from other members on the Tal'Dorei Council because they believe that sending the army is a mistake because it will leave the city defenseless. But Sovereign Uriel decrees that this is what's going to happen, so that's what's going to happen because he is like the king of Iman. And throughout this whole interaction, Vex once again feels the presence of a dragon in the throne room. The presence is one Gregory Fince, who is one of the members of the Tal'Dorei Council who Vox Machina believes is working with the dragon. And they decide to have some of their party go track him down, while some other members of the party go to a magic shop, Gilmore's Glorious Goods, to see what they can find and if there's any info on how to kill a blue dragon. So the groups are Pike and Vex go to Gilmore's. Grog and Scanlan are one group searching for Fince, and Vex, Keyleth, and Percy are another separate group who are also looking for Fince. But Grog and Scanlan are the ones who are able to find him, and they track him to a fancy house within Iman. And then once the whole party reassembles, after getting some info from Gilmore, the owner of Gilmore's Glorious Goods, they are able to go and break into this house. And they find out that this house that Fince broke into belongs to General Krieg. And they stumble upon a secret basement, which the whole party goes down into. After going down into the basement, Vox Machina finds Fince in the basement stealing documents, but he is killed by General Krieg before he can reveal why he's actually down there. Even after the death of Fince, Vex still feels the presence of the dragon, and Krieg reveals that he is the one who actually has been helping the dragon. Vox Machina chases him further into his home and loses him, but they stumble upon another secret room filled with magical items and dragon memorabilia. Upon searching this room, a secret portal is discovered and the whole party goes through it, and Vox Machina stumbles upon a giant hoard of gold. It takes a moment before they realize that they have just been transported into the dragon's lair, and upon searching the dragon's lair, Keyleth finds a wall with 4 polished oval stones, and one of them turns into an eye. A voice saying the word intruders is heard, and then the wall cracks, and all of the stones are destroyed. It is then revealed that General Krieg is actually the blue dragon. He's just not working with the blue dragon. He is the dragon, and his name is Brimscythe. And they fight each other again, but this time Vox Machina is able to win, and they kill him. They then return to the castle where Vox Machina is given a keep and an honorary position of the Tal'Dorei Council for their heroism, and then they are invited to a party to discuss the safety of the realm along with other leaders from around Tal'Dorei. And then at the very end of the episode, we are introduced to some more of those leaders, the Briarwoods. Bandits try to rob them while they're on their way to Iman, but Lord Briarwood is able to kill them off rather spectacularly. And that is where episode 2 ends. So now we'll go into episode 3, which starts off with Percy having a nightmare about his family, who we see getting killed, and he wakes up in a cold sweat. And Percy and his family were royalty before they were all killed off. But then after that, we see Vox Machina waking up in their new home, seemingly after a night of drinking. And Allura shows up to remind them about the party, that they have to be there. And then Percy says that he'll teach all the members of Vox Machina how to behave at this professional event. Once they get there to the party, Vox Machina starts to mingle, and they immediately stand out from the rest of the party guests just because of the way they're acting, even though they do clean up pretty nice. Not long after they arrive, we see the Briarwoods are announced who are arriving, who we saw at the end of the last episode. And then it cuts to Percy becoming overwhelmed with emotions, and it is revealed that the Briarwoods are the ones who are responsible for murdering his entire family. The rest of the Vox Machina comes and talks to him because they can see that something is obviously not going. He is bothered by this, and we see that the Briarwoods are planning to stay overnight in Amon's castle. So the rest of the party covers for Vax while he goes off and tries to sneak into the Briarwoods' room to see what they brought with them. And also they do, if for some reason something goes wrong, a safe word is established to say if the rest of the party, any member of the party needs help, you would use the safe word, which is Chenga, 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 in order to notify the rest of the team that something's going wrong. But then the dinner starts without Vax, and all we really see is the Vox Machina being seated directly across the table from the Briarwoods, and Percy can really do nothing other than stare them down. Because of the last messenger that Iman sent to Whitestone, the city where the Briarwoods are from, had never returned, Sovereign Uriel starts to kind of prod and poke and question Lord Silas Briarwood, but he immediately uses some form of magic to stop him from asking questions and to make him assure that Whitestone's independence is kept, because Sovereign Uriel threatens to send a garrison of troops to Whitestone to maintain order. And then after that, it skips ahead a little bit, and we see them eating dessert, and Percy is still just staring at the Briarwoods, and that leads them to kind of ask if they had met before, and there's kind of this awkward conversation. And then, just to make Percy mad, the Briarwoods tell a fake story of how the Derolos, which is his family name, abdicated from the throne. They say that the known story is that they all succumbed to a rare disease and all died off, basically. But the Briarwoods say that they faked that story to make the Derolos look better than they actually were. In actuality, they basically just abdicated from the throne and stole all the money and left their people to rot and die. And that prompts a response from Percy. He stands up and shouts "liar" at the Briarwoods. And this prompts the Briarwoods to leave the dinner table and go back up to their room. And then we cut back to see Vax still searching their room, and he is able to find a book that is in a secret compartment in one of their chests, and he tucks it in his coat pocket. And as he's getting ready to leave, you see all the lights in the room or the flash out, and then you see Lord and Lady Briarwood standing behind Vax. He tries to weasel his way out of the situation, but he isn't able to, and Lord Briarwood Lord Silas tries to use the same magic. Well, he does use the same magic that he used on Sovereign Uriel on Vax. And then it is discovered that Lord Silas is actually a vampire as he takes a bite out of Vax's neck. And then after we see that, him taking that bite causes the magic to break, and then Vax is able to jump out the window of the second-story room that he's in into the courtyard below to escape the Briarwoods. And then he says the safe word, and since Vex and Vax are brother and sister, they kind of have this link, kind of like because they're twins. So Vex is able to kind of get a sense that something is wrong with Vax, and they rush out to the courtyard where all of Vox Machina, except for Scanlan, who was left behind to distract the remaining party guests with a song, go and fight the Briarwoods. And Vox Machina is pretty outmatched in this fight. They have Lord Silas, who is a vampire, which are very powerful creatures. And Delilah Briarwood, his wife, is a very powerful necromancer. So she uses dark magic, and they put up a pretty good fight. And Vox Machina gets pretty beat up, including Pike, who takes a blast of dark magic from Delilah, and it causes her holy symbol to break. And you watch as Pike kind of stares at it as the light slowly fades from it. But so to try to, they don't want to cause any more trouble than they already have. So the Briarwoods have called for the coach that they arrived in with the driver. Silas throws the driver off the cabin and says that he will drive. And then they ride off out of Iman as Lady Briarwood taunts Percy, saying that he's welcome back home anytime. Percy is obviously very angry at this. He yells at the Vox Machina because he had them. He had his chance to take out the Briarwoods, but he missed. But there is still the cab driver who's still around, so Percy walks up to him. And as he starts to question him, you see smoke start to pour out of Percy's jacket. And as the smoke starts to pour out of his jacket, he pulls out a plague doctor's mask and puts it on to make him look a lot more intimidating than he already is, and to try to get the cab driver to answer the questions. But he doesn't get the answer that he wants, and he shoots off the fingers of the Briarwoods cab driver, whose name is Desmond. And also, as a side note, Percy has it's a pepper box, so he has a very rudimentary firearm as his main weapon. This episode ends with Sovereign Uriel coming and arresting Vox Machina for what they've done. I think these first 3 episodes do a pretty great job of setting the overall tone of the show, introduce all the characters and the main plot points of the season. We have a basic understanding of all the members of Vox Machina and start to dive deeper into some of these characters. We even start to see some characters develop from the party as a whole. Vox Machina is a different group of characters at the end of the first 3 episodes than they were when they began. They were ready to walk away from everything with their contract, but seeing the destruction of the Shale Steppes changed them. The people of the Iman needed them to succeed, even if it means they die. Some of them might be doing it for more selfish reason than others, but they all agreed to do it. All these characters will go on a journey, and this is just the beginning for them. That's going to be it for today. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more Legend of Vox Machina content as I continue to review the rest of the show, and I'll see you next time.